Hello, and welcome to a more perfect podcast. In today's episode, we'll be going over a super important statewide election, as well as who I'm going to vote for president. So this statewide election, it's Florida's election. So when you go to the ballot, you're going to see a Florida Amendment to $15 per hour minimum wage initiative. This initiative was put on there by a huge out-of-state law firm that funded an activist group that gave them the money to put it on the ballot. So, right off the bat, it's corrupt because, what the heck are out-of-state law firms doing influencing our election? But it gets better. So here's what it says on the ballot. Raising Florida's minimum wage raises minimum wage to $10 per hour effective September 30th, 2021. Each September 30th thereafter, minimum wage shall increase by $1 per hour until the minimum wage reaches $15 per hour on September 30th, 2026. From that point forward, future minimum wage increases shall revert to being adjusted annually for inflation starting September 30th, 2027. In other words, it keeps going up after $15. Even worse, there's no provision in there to take it down in the event of an emergency, such as a hurricane, God forbid another pandemic, or seriously, God forbid, a war. There's no coming back from this. And in my opinion, if you're going to propose a super radical amendment like this, you should at least have a provision to take it back down in the event of an emergency. So any progressives out there that are listening to this, I think we can at least agree on that this really isn't a well thought out amendment. There's no provision to take it down, and we should really have a provision in the event of an emergency to take this thing off or to tack it back down to a lower rate, because we don't want our economy to collapse if we are hit with another pandemic, or as every year we're hit with a hurricane. Vote no on Amendment 2. Let me tell you a little bit more about the effects of Amendment 2 before we get to my presidential choice for 2020. The Florida Chamber of Commerce makes a few fantastic points about the minimum wage increase in Florida. No state has ever passed a congressional mandate raising minimum wage to $15 per hour, according to the Florida Chamber of Commerce. I want you guys to think about it here. COVID has destroyed our employment in Florida, as it has all around the country. The Florida Chamber of Commerce claims it will slow Florida's economic recovery and hurt the very people the special interest behind this scam claims it helps. The amendment affects 4 groups of people that are in huge numbers in Florida. Number 1, seniors and working families on a fixed income. Think of your friends here that are working and that are maybe staying in a studio apartment. This is them. It's effectively a tax increase, which would drive up inflation, increase the cost of living, and it would force seniors, old people, and working families to pay more for necessities like food, clothing, and haircuts. Because, once again, the economy is interconnected, people. Once you increase the minimum wage, you start seeing the ripple effects all around the economy. It would affect tourism, jobs such as attractions like Disney World, hotels, and restaurants that are forced to already operate at limited capacities due to COVID-19 would be significantly impacted by the Amendment 2 mandate. Entry-level workers, this is you and me. The people that are just getting their first jobs right out of high school, or their jobs, in college jobs, this would just destroy them. Because minimum wage, it says, sets a productivity standard that forces businesses to shift their workforce to more experienced workers. This will leave fewer jobs for entry-level workers, leading to a decrease in job training and opportunities for students and those looking to re-enter the workforce. It's a garbage amendment that would just destroy our first-level jobs. The 4th group of people that it would affect is part-time wage earners. Amendment 2 would cause a rapid expansion of job automation, meaning robots doing your jobs. Part-time wage earners will see a dramatic reduction in paid hours, as I just said, and benefits, as many businesses move operations to neighboring states, such as Georgia, for experienced labor at a more competitive rate. To sum it all up, Amendment 2 is bad for Florida. Amendment 2 would cause jobs to move out of Florida into Georgia would destroy you and I's college job because most likely we're being paid at the minimum wage. For all of us, it is effectively a tax increase. This would drive up inflation and dramatically increase the cost of living, and it would force seniors such as, your grandparents, maybe your aunts and uncles at this point, and working families to pay more for necessities like food, clothing, and haircuts. Because as people have more money in their pockets, the food, as it is in limited supply, has to increase prices so that it can protect that supply. Because they don't want people just buying up all the food because they have a bunch of money. So the prices would necessarily have to increase to protect that supply from a shortage. For all of those reasons, I do encourage you to vote no on Amendment 2 when you go to vote in the state of Florida. It's very, very important. In other news, I'm voting for Donald Trump in 2020. Here's why. For one, Trump's got us into no new wars in the past 4 years. We all thought he was going to get us into a war with North Korea. It didn't happen. We all thought he was going to get us into a war with Iran. It didn't happen. On the other hand, Joe Biden voted against the Osama bin Laden raid. He later changed his mind, but the initial vote was against the Osama bin Laden raid. This was a decade-long effort to assassinate bin Laden. He voted no on it. He also voted for the Iraq War, the disastrous Iraq War. Joe Biden cannot be trusted with foreign policy. Even though foreign policy is important to me, it may not be important to everyone. So I would point to Donald Trump creating the most jobs our country has ever seen in these past 4 years. No, he did not inherit the Obama boom. Obama slowed down our economy with all of his regulations upon the companies and all of his rules and unnecessary political jargon and bureaucratic bloating. He slowed it down, and it was the slowest recovery that I've probably ever researched. Trump, on the other hand, removed these regulations and caused our economy to skyrocket. Before COVID, the economy was doing fantastic, and if you want the economy to recover, you vote Trump. If you want it to be stunted, although it'll probably still go up because of Trump's actions, you vote for Biden. But it gets even worse. On Joe Biden's website, he advocates for a $15 minimum wage if he's elected. We just went over why a $15 minimum wage is bad. Seriously, you don't want Joe Biden in office, and he would just tank the American economy even more for those mom and pop shops all around the country that have just reopened, not just in the face of COVID, but also in the face of the George Floyd riots and the Antifa mobs that are roaming our streets and just destroying all these black-owned, immigrant-owned, and mom and pop owned businesses. Now, if you thought I was going to give away all my reasons for supporting Donald Trump here, you're gravely mistaken. You're going to have to listen to the future episodes that are upcoming until November 3rd, because in those episodes, I'll be detailing my reasons for voting for Donald Trump. But I'm going to spread it out, so you guys have to listen to those episodes upcoming, so please subscribe. Rate me 5 stars on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you are streaming. It really helps us pop up in the search results, which I greatly need, because right now I'm second in the search results if you search up a More Perfect Podcast on Apple Podcasts. I really want to get to number 1, and I believe with more 5-star reviews, that can happen. So go down there on Apple Podcasts and rate me 5 stars. Have a great election, and have a more perfect day.